Motion with.
We have a quorum. This isn't here. Oh, so where'd you get these?
I'm the one that printed those.
Victoria asked for it to print them.
Like our new logo on the letterhead. Yeah, really?
Starting to feel normal.
Well, like Wolcott.
Yeah.
Are we live?
We are live and recording and audible.
All right, hello, everybody.
Howdy.
Hello.
So let's just go around the room and let's do a quick introductions. We have some new folks here attending. I'm Jim Ryan, Chair of the Wolcott Wastewater Committee.
Carpenter, also part of the Wolcott Wastewater Committee.
Cindy Parks, Vermont DEC Water Investment Division.
In the Martin Wastewater Committee.
Folks on Zoom, can you hear okay?
Yep.
Wastewater Committee. Zoom operator.
Thank you for that service, Bradley. And people on Zoom, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Peter Lazorchak with Stone Environmental, project engineer.
Tori Helwig, regional planner with LCPC.
I like the big T, Tori.
Thank you.
Seth Jensen, also with LCPC.
Other folks on Zoom like to introduce yourselves? Okay, let's start our meeting. Bradley has the agenda up there. We can just quickly go over the agenda. We're going to approve our last month's minutes. Peter's going to lead us through what's going on with the contractor bids as the construction RFP request for proposals closed out and kind of next steps and where we're headed on the timeline for the construction season. We're going to have to go into an executive session at that point to just talk about the contractor bids. And then we'll come back out. We'll discuss the latest communication from the Wolcott School and School Board, landowner notifications about the construction, and then how we're going to be communicating with folks in town via Front Porch Forum about everything I just discussed, especially as it relates to construction. Maybe we'll get into a little bit on the project budget, and we kind of put off the recruitment of members of the new wastewater commission at our last meeting, and if we have time, we could discuss that, coming up with a plan for that towards the end of the meeting.
And we are going into executive session about the contract because the select board won't be approving it until tomorrow evening, so it would not be good to be out there in public yet.
Any comments on the agenda? Any other items?
I do have a card for David Polo, just thanking him for his work that, he helped us with all the easements. I kind of feel like he really went, beyond, his job, and if there's anyone online that would like me to sign their name, let me know.
That'd be great if you want to sign my name. It was definitely helpful having him.
Agreed.
Where's that card?
It's Here you sign Bradley Beatty. We're just gonna scroll through the last meeting minutes for folks. Folks online, can you see that? Yep. So if folks would just review as we gently scroll. Thank you for that, Bradley. So Bradley, were these your notes and then supplemented by the AI notes?
Yeah.
And did you feel like they worked okay?
Yeah. I mean, you gotta go through them. Pick up repetitive stuff. Yeah.
We recording now?
Mhm.
Yeah. The hair is slower, Bradley, if you don't mind. Thank you.
What is that?
That was Peter.
Any comments on the minutes? We have a motion.
Make a motion to accept the minutes of May 19th, 2026.
Is that you, Bradley? Did you second? Right? Okay, I heard something. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? No. We have no no's, I should say. All right, the meeting minutes have been accepted as approved. Peter, we're gonna kick things off to you and maybe with some help from Cynthia in the room. Just, do you prefer Cindy or Cynthia? Cindy, okay. From Cindy. And just with the caveat that we're going to go into executive session to talk about specifics and the proposals, Peter. So if we can hold off on that until we go into executive summary session. Should we do that first, or what do you think?
Probably, I guess that's kind of the biggest discussion point. I guess the other big update is on Friday. The official indirect discharge permit was issued by DEC following the public comment period. So we're all set on that end.
Excellent. That's great news.
Yep.
So I'll make a motion to go to executive 5:14 to discuss contract.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Executive session. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Going to executive session.
Um, quick question for the committee. In an executive session, you can have people with relevant information. I just want to confirm who that includes from the non-committee members for the minutes.
Should it be Seth, you and or Lori? In addition to Cindy in the room?
We want Peter.
Well, obviously Peter. Peter's going to lead that discussion.
All right, I think I need to reframe my motion.
Okay. Are we still
We're
on?
recording in a row.
Okay, Linda's going to reframe the motion.
Yeah, I'm gonna withdraw my first motion. I'm gonna make a motion that we enter into executive session to discuss contracts, inviting Seth, Tori, and Cindy to join us in the discussion.
Peter.
And Peter. Really?
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, we're in executive session with Peter, Tori, Seth, and Cindy as technical advisors.
So do I need to, how would I do this? And I should pause recording, right?
Yeah.
Yes, anyone else come back in?
Yeah, Michael's.
Okay, we are out of executive session and no action was taken. And we're going to continue on with our agenda. And maybe back to Peter, Cindy, just we can just kind of discuss. So tomorrow at the select board meeting, the bid package will be presented to the select board with a recommendation for a contractor. The select board will vote on that contractor. And can we go over the next steps? What happens after the select board meeting? And Peter, if you.
Yep. We, at that point, can start working through details with that contractor, getting their performance bonds, certificate insurance, that sort of stuff, and can give them a notice to proceed. And then start working with the town and the contractor to get a signed contract for the work. In the meantime, they can start kind of getting their ducks in a row and being ready, and we can start talking about dates for things like a pre-construction meeting and project kickoff and that sort of aspect of the project.
Then we're not sure yet, depending on the contractor in that process. But we're looking at July, sometime in July before.
It will be, yeah, it'll most certainly be into July by the time kind of we're ready, considering that's pretty much next week.
Okay, and so we have a few things to talk about with that timeline. And first, can we maybe discuss the communication with the school and the school board about all of this and how that's going to happen? And
yep. So I attended virtually their school board meeting last week and kind of gave them an update on and all of this. Of course, at that time, bids hadn't been received yet. And it was a pretty brief meeting. They were pretty satisfied with the update. One piece of the update is that we've previously talked about sort of a more detailed MOU between the school and the town in terms of the kind of long-term operation of the system. And one thing that I discussed with them was in the indirect discharge permit that was just issued, we have a 180-day period from the issuance. So I guess that would be from last Friday, where we will present a QA/QC plan to DEC for their review of sort of the long-term monitoring that will happen for the system. And so the way I left it with the school board was that once we sort of have that developed, we'll be going back and rolling that QA/QC plan into the MOU and having some further discussions on, things relating to, running the system long-term. And they seemed open and receptive to that. And it was a positive discussion. The new principal.
Was she? I was just going to ask if Kate was there.
Yep, Kate was there. And we acknowledged that she and I had already met. And I agreed that I'd be kind of keeping her in the loop as we know more in terms of the construction schedule and, contractor involvement. So once I have a little bit more information on timeframes and whatnot, we'll reach out to her and kind of make sure it all jives with her understanding and her vision for the work being done up there.
And then obviously there's still a lot of discussion depending on if the contractor can do more than the 50% minimum this summer. We discussed last time about the condition of the athletic field for September, or when the kids come back from school, and I guess those issues would have to be discussed later. But
those are the issues that I think need to get worked out. Is part of the benefit or idea of only doing 3 of the 6 zones is that we wouldn't rip up the entire field. If you look at the bid tabs, you'll notice we do have an adult price for sodding 3 of the 6 zones. So that could be one option that the town would have to decide, is if we wanted to expend those funds to be able to, just very quickly and easily get turf down for the school. Other strategies could involve, trying to very quickly get at least 3 of the zones done so that those could get seeded and mulched a little earlier in the summer, and hope that those zones are at least adequate for playing on. Based on our preliminary conversations with the school district, it doesn't really sound like the fields are necessary for any of the soccer programs. So it might not be absolutely necessary to have like super nice grass, but I think as we know a little bit more about the contractor's desires on schedule, we can have more detailed conversations with Kate and the school and just kind of flush all of that out. One of the key components, if the contractor is interested in trying to start connecting systems this fall, which would be a pretty aggressive time frame that I'm not really anticipating, but if they were, we need to make sure that the at least the three zones have robust vegetation, or conversely have some pretty thick like bark mulch, frost protection over the system.
Peter, a couple things on the side. So roughly after construction, smoothing things out, you seeded mulch, how long do you get a lush lawn? Is it weeks or a month?
It's at least weeks, yeah.
And then the sod, if we had to do like 3 out of the 6 zones, is that when you say add alt, does that mean the contractor has the option to apply the sod with our approval, and that we would pay in addition to? And then is that a big cost? I know they came in, the contractor we're talking about came in lower, so we have some wiggle room there, I think, on the price, right?
It's actually an add-on, your decision. It's not the contractor's.
Okay.
Right.
It's our decision, but we have to pay the extra.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's a decision that comes in conjunction with sort of the needs and desires of the school, and trying to match the schedule and the time frame of the contractor to the town's desires.
We
So
$10,000?
no, you can look.
50,000.
It's about 50. Yeah,
For the whole thing?
it's for based on the quantity or the square yards we put in. It's for 3 zones. So, if they were going to completely get it all perfect, back to normal, you're actually would be talking $100,000. But based on my preliminary discussions with Kate and the school board, I think there was kind of an understanding that they didn't need the entire field, to give the kids plenty of room to play and have all of their activities and whatnot.
So we can work with the school to see, I don't know if there's an option to where to do the 3 zones, if we can only do 3 relative to where they need.
That was sort of the game plan all along, was to accommodate the school with wherever on the field they thought was, most desirable to have open to the kids.
That's good news. So I know there'll be a lot more decisions and discussions when we have those meetings after the contractor is selected, and the pre-construction meeting. The timeline will be more ironed out, but we know it's going to be a likely July start for construction, and we're towards the end of June now, so we're talking less than a month away potentially. So it's going to be even potentially before our next meeting. And I guess the most imperative thing is, after we have that pre-construction meeting, knowing is this, most of the work's going to be happening at the school. As far as the landowner contacts, we're not going to have any construction in the near term on School Street or Route 15 anyway.
I would not anticipate that. I think whichever contractor selected, all the focus for the summer will be up at the school. Yep.
Okay, but does the contractor, are they able to run multiple crews? Could the crew be at the school and working on 15 and School Street at the same time?
It's an option. I would be surprised if that's an option they're implementing right off the bat. I think it's probably something that they will. Well, I shouldn't say probably. There's a decent chance that the contractor would want to do that as the project moves on. But I think there's enough to be done in a short enough window up there that I think you could even have multiple crews going up there would be kind of a better use of resources to make sure that the school stuff gets done.
But once the calendar flips to the new school year, that crew would be then mobilized to start working down the town forest and School Street, or depending on how we or they decide to proceed in construction. Or are they gonna start at the top and work their way down? And
I think we need to, I think we're
we're way
way ahead.
But the schedule is, that is the responsibility of the contractor.
Well, I'm just thinking, so the reason I'm asking,
Bring a preliminary schedule to the pre-construction meeting, so you, everyone have a much better
I just
sense.
want to make sure the landowners are plenty of advance warning.
Yeah,
Well, and what they're doing with the bridge is every Friday we get a report of what's going on with the bridge and, well, of course, it's closed, but it's closed and stuff. And I think somebody needs to report back to someone every week, you know, what their plan is for the next week so that we can. Next week
You
or
mean the
two.
contractor, the wastewater contractor, not the bridge contractor.
Yeah,
Just like
so that
the front porch
then
forum
then
post
you
that's
can
there.
communicate
yeah.
with people. And that's how it's gonna have to work. And it's gonna have to really be a lot of communication.
Okay, and maybe we can just do I'm just thinking maybe a general front porch forum post after the contractor is selected, and once we have a rough idea of what the initial, just to let everybody know that we're starting this thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it wouldn't hurt if every 2 weeks or something you put on there, you know, the contractor's gonna be working on the abutments on the little bridge over here by the parking lot and, you know, so people are wondering, seeing.
But once we have, like Cindy was saying, an idea of the
Yeah,
contractor sequencing,
right.
we can let people know in general terms and.
They probably don't even know because they don't know they got the bid.
Right. Then they have to decide, and Peter, we've talked about it before with Peter, of when they're running the force main down, say, School Street, do they just run it down School Street and then hook up everybody later, or do they hook up as they go, you know? Questions like that. Because when the hooking up part is obviously gonna directly impact each landowner that's working on School Street or 15, less so.
They can't hook up until they get that wastewater coming together and fees.
Yeah, it won't be hooked up. They might be putting the sort of the connections in as they go and then stubbing them up. Probably after they might decide they want to put in the valve pit for sort of shutting off the systems and then have it stubbed right after that.
So we'll have to check. Since the force main, I'm sure let them pressure test everything.
Yeah,
So-
Yeah, right.
Question, somebody asked, you know, I should probably know this, and, but the house next to Douglas going down towards Elmore, is that house,
Around Joe?
are they in our,
Yes,
yeah, okay. Someone was asking me that yesterday,
yes, Fred, but he died.
but they're a yes. And
He signed the thing.
Did you say he died, Linda?
It did.
Do we have a new contact?
I think his daughter, but he signed the easement. Yeah, I can get it from Belinda.
Okay.
His daughter was in town too, his other daughter.
So just back to front porch forum, like a general post. We're thinking maybe the end of June, beginning of July, just to say we hired this contractor and they're gonna start roughly this.
I would suggest at this point, Jim, maybe waiting till at least end of the week, if not early next week, and we could probably be having more of those discussions with the contractor and fill in those blanks.
Okay.
That would be kind of my recommendation at this point.
Because we haven't done posts in quite some time, and
Yeah, no, I think it's time to do one. I just think you're gonna have so much new information very soon that you could probably do an easier and better post, once you know who the contractor is and get a better sense of when they think they can start and that sort of thing.
Okay. Do we have do we have enough information, or should we wait till after the select board meeting as far as doing any budget discussions as far as the bid numbers that we're seeing and it's on our agenda item, that's why I'm asking.
Oh, yeah, I don't know that we're quite ready to talk about that. We are working with, Cindy and DEC to sort of update our project cost summaries and kind of show how everything comes together.
Did you figure out that electrical thing?
Thank you. It must be a figment of Lynette's imagination.
I hope so. I never heard of it. And these bids all include
Yeah,
electrical upgrades.
Can you guys talk about
permit fees?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I guess that probably is some information that I don't know that we would have talked about last month, but we ended up in the bids deciding to carry some various allowances to simplify the contractor's bidding, where we would say, okay, all contractors are going to get, I don't remember what we put, but say call it $10,000 for upgrading the random electrical panels that aren't up to standards enough to have the pump stations connected with appropriate controls. And another $10,000 we're carrying for those random sites that need some interior plumbing work in order to get things to flow in the right direction. And then the other piece that was kind of a big allowance that we decided to do was, instead of having all the contractors working with Arenco to get all the parts and pieces for the tanks, which includes the pumps and the risers and some of the specialty valving, instead of all of them going to Arenco and getting a price from Arenco and then rolling that into their price, we just gave them an allowance, which is pretty much the price that Arenco is giving everybody. So that's just like a straight number across the board. And I think there's another maybe incident situation or two like that we did that. Do you remember, Cindy?
yeah, there's a couple of Hardwick Electric.
Oh, yeah.
bid
Yeah, thank you.
items.
Yeah.
One is service to common pump station, the other is service to drip dispersal control building.
Yeah.
And then also backup generators and appurtenances were put in as an allowance.
What does an allowance mean?
The allowance means that it's kind of a straight cost, and that the contractor isn't required to come up with that cost. That it's kind of rolled out as this is what is available for that. It could be higher or lower. It just takes that off the table in terms of the overall bid consideration. The generator, for example, we weren't super specific on the specifications for the generator. And instead of having the contractor guessing and not having all of them be apples to apples, we thought it was better to essentially have what we think would cover the cost of the generator, and then we can work with the contractor to make sure they install what the town wants for that. Does that make sense? And same thing like with the electrical stuff.
Yeah.
With the electrical stuff, the cost is going to be the cost to hook up with Hardwick Electric, and so there's no need for them to be kind of tinkering with that number.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything else, Peter?
I don't think so.
Questions in the room or on Zoom? For Peter? I guess we'll know more after the select board meeting tomorrow. And after the initial conversations after the contractor is selected by the select board. Related point, there's gonna be a lot going on in July. So we have kind of a consolidated construction season, at least at the school. Whatever part of July and August. We have a date of when the kids come back. Is it the last week of August?
It usually is that Monday, and they go like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. and then it-
August 24th.
Yeah, that's when they do in Wolcott.
My school district is the 26th, and I, for some reason, had it in my head that it was the same, but I don't know if I made that up.
26th is a Wednesday.
Is a Wednesday, yeah. I'll have to double check that. I don't know.
Well, it's only 2 days difference.
Yeah, it is more than likely that week. Yeah.
It is that week, yes.
And that's why we put our deadline for the 3 zones as the 15th. Because we figured that would at least give some time to either have a buffer if we absolutely need it, or give at least a little bit of a time where some vegetation could get established if that's the route we end up going.
Okay, just as the personal note, if we have our next meeting normally would be on the 21st.
Okay.
of July. I may not be able to attend that in the coming days, but
Do we want to bump it up a week maybe, since there's going to be a lot going on? Let me just look at my calendar, make sure I don't do something. So maybe I'm suggesting the 14th.
I'm not sure yet on my end, but you're thinking in general, it might be good to have it a week earlier, Peter, due to the potential construction.
Yeah, I was just, if you weren't available on the 21st, I thought going earlier would be better than bumping it later. Either one would be fine with me.
Do we need to meet a week earlier from a construction perspective, or?
Need might be a strong statement, but
okay.
I think it could be helpful. I'm guessing at that point, there's probably going to be a lot to at least update, if not talk about.
Maybe we can see how the contractor communication goes and have that as a tentative.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, only other item that we really need to discuss is the recruitment of new members for the Wastewater Commission. So in my mind, the what you want to push about what we were doing and the recruitment, we're going to go hand in hand. Like, hey, we're starting construction. We're going to be working up at the school on the system. Then we're going to be working our way down on School Street 15. And we're going to, that's a good point of transition to when this thing is, or before this thing is built, we need new wastewater commission members. And is anybody interested? It might be good if we had a little mini write-up of what what the goal, what the responsibilities of those commission members will be based on our bylaw? If we can pull that together.
Just put it in AI, I'll summarize it. For you.
You sounded like Bruce.
Yeah, well, get there. We have more
I could pick on
important
Bruce
things
because
to
he's
do.
not here. And then do we have a rough idea of when we'd want them to start?
I would hope in the fall.
Yeah,
Fall. Because they have some work to do.
exactly.
You
Yep.
know. You know, they have to familiarize themselves with the bylaws, they have to elect officers, they need to
Formalize the rates,
get up to speed on what's going on.
hire, I mean, this maybe is something the select board or this committee could do, but I think the big one is working on hiring an operator.
Right,
Mhm.
And when would that operator need to be hired by? We don't have a sense of when the hookups are gonna happen.
I think I think you want the operator to be on board by the time any wastewater is getting sent up
well,
there.
if you read the indirect permit, it gives you what you have to do every week, every month, all the testing, everything, it's
Yeah.
all in there. And
Yeah.
some of it is weekly, it seemed like,
Was
maybe
it
one.
By the commission or by us?
by the operator?
Well,
If
that's
you have
why
any
I'm
By the
trouble,
going
you gotta
to
get a
hire
weekly
an
note.
operator, because that's part of the permit, what they have to report to the state
And it's-
on that permit.
As soon as I'm sure flow goes out, you gotta start with also that, the testing for everything else they're gonna want.
Right, it's right, there's a whole skit thing at the back of the indirect permit schedule.
Would it be helpful, because it is all in that indirect permit, would it be helpful to have like a summary of those? Is it possible to distill that down more than it is in the permit, or do you think the permit speaks for itself? Because it makes yeah.
I think distilling it down would be helpful. I mean, somebody's going to want to create some sort of like an RFP/RFQ. That
Well, the
still,
committee is gonna do that,
yeah,
right?
right.
You mean the commission?
The commission, the water commissioners, that's why we need to get them,
That's why you need to get them right. And I think
that's their
I mean,
job.
most of the qualified operators are going to be able to look at that permit and know what they have to do. So we'll attach it, but
Exactly,
Yes.
yeah,
we don't wanna hire someone who doesn't know how to read it.
Besides, you aren't gonna be able to be able to operate it, you're gonna have to have the state license to operate it, so you're gonna have to understand the permit before you even can have it on there.
Yeah. So, you know, I don't know how many companies there are out there to hire.
not that many. We need more. Right, Alan?
So just going back to what you were saying earlier, Peter, so you said it would be a long shot or whatever terminology you use to actually have anything hooked up this fall. And we would need an operator before the system is a go. So do we have, we're gonna have these commissioners in place before then, but is there gonna be some wiggle room on when the operator has to be hired if we're not gonna be hooked up? And we'll have a better sense of all of this after we talk to the contractor.
I think we wait and find out what their construction schedule looks like.
But we still need the commissioners, but maybe not the operator just yet.
And we need some.
No, but they're gonna hire the operator and they're gonna do the RFP and they're gonna communicate with the contractor to find out when the start date is and all that. That's what they're supposed to do.
The other question is,
Select board member and 3 residents.
the other question is to ask the DEC, it's when it starts, when do they want all the outside system samples started? Because if do they want a baseline before you construct for that stream number, or do they want it after? That's a good question on those samples
Yeah.
that I saw.
Yeah, and that all plays into that QA/QC that plan that I was talking about, Alan. And that'll have to be ready before it's up and running.
And some equipment for any sampling. If you gotta follow sample wells, you need something to sample, to put through the sample wells and all that.
So Seth, back to your point, were you volunteering to do a summary?
I was suggesting that if it's beneficial, it's something that LCPC could assist with.
No pressure.
But if it's we are also always careful about dipping too far into engineering. So that's why I wanted to pose the question of is a summary beneficial, or does it make sense just to reference the permit? I think a summary might be beneficial for the community to understand what needs to be, but the actual performance needs to be tied to the permit itself, would be my kind of way to navigate that. But kind of looking for guidance from Stone on that a little bit.
Yeah,
So the two pieces of information we need are potentially the summary, and then also kind of a list of responsibilities, which there'll be some redundancy in the summary and deliverables of what the commissioners will be doing. People are going to want to know if I'm asked to do a volunteer job, I want to know, like, what would I do? How often are we going to meet? What is the term length? These are questions that people are going
It's
to ask.
brand new. They're gonna
Well-
decide.
They're going to decide all that.
They're gonna
Yeah.
decide the term limits. Then, it's not an existing committee, and that's why they need to meet soon to set that foundation up.
But they're going to need to know what they're going to be doing.
Yeah,
Well, and I would caution Jim about overlap between like the committee's role in doing oversight of the operator and the operator's technical responsibilities. So, those sampling requirements, those monitoring requirements, those are things that the operator is going to need to be professionally qualified to do. The committee's role is to ensure the operator is like fulfilling the contractual obligations. It's not asking people to go out and like take samples of, the effluent, for example. So we want to like make sure that is distinct, right? Like,
absolutely, yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah.
they also, the other, that's the technical piece, Seth, but how their responsibilities relative to people that are hooked up to the system as far as the fees and someone wanting more capacity,
Yeah,
or repairs, things like all that stuff that these commissioners would be dealing with. They need to know, what are they going to be dealing with on a regular basis at their meetings?
right. Maybe it makes sense to help then with kind of like jotting out, the bullet points of those responsibilities for the committee. And I think, and please, Cindy or Peter, like if I'm going in the wrong direction with this analogy, like pull me back. But to some degree, it's similar to the, analogous to the relationship of the like select board to the road foreman and road crew, is that, an individual property owner doesn't go knock on the road foreman's door and say, like, I need this culvert on my road fixed, or at least that's not, I'm sure it happens, but when that happens, the answer is go talk to the select board. It's not, right? So, like operators doing their duties of daily maintenance or regular maintenance, regular monitoring, the policy decisions like what are the fees, what are the like connection policies, those have been created by the select board in the ordinance to be refined by this committee. Would also be if someone has a concern about how the operator is doing things, they're not calling like the operator or, knocking on the truck while it's out doing the inspection. They're contacting this committee, for example, just like the relationship would be with the road foreman. Does that help, or does that confuse things?
No, I think that helps personally, but the other big part of the job is and as you guys are recruiting, somebody needs to be creating the budgets and paying the operator and paying for other expenses, electrical and all of that. And that's something that needs to be figured out. And I don't know all the inner workings of Wolcott, but those decisions typically would be on the commission to be directing that certain things get paid and whatnot.
And just so we have the responsibilities in two different baskets here. So the actual construction and the individual hookups, that's on this committee, right? If someone in town has questions about,
Yes.
we have a problem with my panel or the plumbing issue, or we have something buried in the yard, that's on us. And then once the switch is flipped and they're hooked up, then it's on the commission. Is that how I understand it?
I would say so, but you guys can decide to do it however you want. But yeah, I think that makes sense.
So we own this until we throw the switch.
You also have typically a 1-year warranty period after final completion of the construction project.
Okay. From the contractor, the main contractor.
Yeah. So that might be a shared responsibility.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, Cindy.
I don't know if you're familiar with the Vermont Rural Water Association.
Yep.
But I'm wondering if they might not be able to help you. They might already have write-ups for.
Yeah,
That's Forest, isn't it?
Yeah.
Forest.
that is a good suggestion.
Yeah.
Cindy.
Forest.
I bet Forrest could help with that.
Forest is on cybersecurity right now, but Wayne could probably help
Oh,
with
yeah.
that, because that's Wayne's purview.
Yeah, Wayne is great.
Silly question, but can the selected contractor also be the operator, or is that?
No.
No, they're not licensed.
Oh. Okay.
And you wouldn't want them to be. You want that separation
Yeah,
of
okay.
responsibility.
Right.
It's not
The
a
builders versus the owner.
Right.
It's not a bad thing to have a contractor also, so might know where everything is before you start as you're building it, and so if something happens, they know where stuff is.
Yeah.
And then handing them something, they have no idea where it is, and then they got to go find it.
Yeah.
So I think we might have enough to go on from the indirect discharge permit summary table and what we were just discussing. And what Seth was discussing as far as the responsibilities of the commissioners. I'm thinking that I would send out the front porch forum update after we have that contractor selected. We have a rough timeline. And quickly follow up like the next day with, we're recruiting commissioners starting in the fall. Here are some of their tasks and responsibilities. So like a 1-2 email to the community. So I'm thinking some point between this meeting and next meeting. So we might need we need some information from Peter, Linda, Cindy, maybe, and I can just have some emails about what we want to say in those emails, those posts.
Yep, that sounds good.
Anything else on the wastewater commission? Questions in the room, questions on Zoom, comments? Motion to adjourn? Second? And a second? Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Peter, for all your work, Seth, Tori, and Cindy.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch. Peter.
Sounds good.
All right.